Hi guys, Bobby Gass here. I'm gonna hopefully start up a thread of that people are gonna jump on because I think nobody's ever done this thread, or I don't remember it, and I've been here since 2010. And that's name or who are your five favorite rhythm guitarists. I'm a guitar guy. I love lead guitar. I always have, right? And I've seen a lot of the great ones from the 60s and 70s. But rhythm guitar players, they played an important part, in any band, right? Some bands didn't have one, but, to me, rhythm and the guitar give you sort of like a bigger sound. But for your favorite rhythm guitarists or who you figure is the best, but for me, I'm going to go with my faves and who I know, and I'm sure in this thread there's going to be a ton of metal guys, which I ain't going to pick because I don't know hardly any. I might know the lead guys, but I won't know many of the rhythm guys. Maybe Hedberg or with Metallica or a few other guys, but not many. Anyhow, I'm going to go with my number one guy. And this guy wrote more hooks than anybody else. He was a rhythm guitar player, but he wrote more hooks, great hooks, than anybody else. And that's what I remember one time watching a video where Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, and Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, and who the hell was the other? Jimmy Page were sitting on a couch, and an interviewer was asking him, talking about guitars, and one of the questions he asked him was, who wrote the best and most hooks? And they all three of them agree, well, that's Keith Richards. And the most famous one, Satisfaction, right? For rock and roll, right? And that'd be my number one pick is Keith Richards. I loved him ever since '64 when I first heard him, and then I don't know, a couple of months later I heard that when they were playing a gig, they were in a very small dressing room, all five of them, and some reporter broke in. The door was locked, and some reporter with a camera broke in to take some pictures and try to interview them. And Keith just attacked the guy and kicked the shit out of him, apparently, and Mick was behind Keith, just, kicking him with his boots. But I always liked Keith, and when somebody jumps on stage, Keith cracks him with his guitar, right? He just takes his guitar off his shoulder, cracks him with the guitar, and then puts it back on and keeps playing. You gotta love Keith's attitude, right? At least I do. Second on the list, AC/DC's Malcolm Young. Yeah, he's pretty goddamn good too, and I just love the sound him and his brother, produced for AC/DC. I remember, I don't know, what is it, 15, 20 years ago, there was a concert the Stones were putting on up at Downsview Park. It's an airport military base in Toronto, and the Stones were putting on a gig there, an outdoor gig, and AC/DC fronted for them, right? And everybody that went told me that AC/DC blew the Stones right off the stage. Oh, I'm out of focus, am I? Well, this is how I get myself back in focus. There we go. And after Malcolm, I gotta go with, people are gonna argue with this probably, but for me, Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page was a studio musician, great studio musician, and when he come and joined up with the Yardbirds, he was second fiddle to Jeff Beck. I mean, he played bass, Jimmy played bass, but he was also playing rhythm too. And how can you not think Jimmy Page is a great rhythm player, right? Next up, I gotta go with, well, we're talking about people I know and bands I know, more or less from my era, right? And Jefferson Airplanes, Paul Kattner. I also thought he was pretty good, and in that band, I guess I liked him the most. And well, Kattner, you can't go wrong with him as far as I'm concerned, right? There's a lot of great ones out there, but I'm going to put him in my top five, right? Next up here, that was 4 of them. And the 5th one's going to be a little strange too, because I'm going to pick 3 guys all at the same time. They're all guitar players, all lead guitar players. They all played rhythm. They all played with each other in a band called Fleetwood Mac. Early Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green, Danny Kerwin, and Jeremy Spencer, right? All 3 of them played lead. All 3 of them played rhythm, right? It's just that era of Fleetwood Mac. Anyhow, that'd be my 5th, eh? And you can argue the point. It don't matter. They played rhythm guitar too, right? And I'm going to make with an honorable mention here, John Lennon, simply because he's John Lennon. Later, guys, let's see or hear your list, if you got one. Think about it for a minute. You're probably going to have to think about it. Later.